बढ़िया टीचर्स प्रॉब्लम्स चुटकी में सुलझाएंगे डाउट सारी जिंदगी से
Raj, I got your doubt. This is your answer.
समझ आएगा तो मजा आएगा Vedantu. Learn live online. To attend a free live class, download the app now.
Hello my dear students, this is Sundar Ravindranathan here. Hope all you guys are doing super awesome. Welcome to yet another fresh episode where we will be covering a very, I would say a very interesting and a more informative, important chapter, which is the age of industrialization. Of course, this is a part of the Know Your Date series, but you know what, when it comes to the age of industrialization, more than specific dates, you will have to remember periods. The time periods when certain changes happened. I hope you're getting what I'm saying, right? Okay, great. So, now let us, before we begin, I just wanted to highlight, what is industrialization? So, you tell me guys, so what is industrialization? Can you type in the comment box? Yeah, so industrialization, before industries came in, trade had a different paradigm, right? The way trade happened before industrialization, it was totally manual. I hope all of you would understand. Okay? Transactions, transfer of goods from one place to another, from one party to another. Okay? Commercial transactions happen, which put together form what we call as trade. And for trade to happen, what do we need? Goods need to be manufactured. Right? And that was happening naturally in a manual form. Correct? So, but do you guys think that earlier when everything was happening very manually, do you feel that large scale manufacture of goods was not happening? Sir, when it is done manually, how is it possible to produce goods on a very large scale? Is that the question you would want to ask? Let me tell you this, guys. It was happening. A large scale manufacture of goods, because all merchants, when trade started developing, okay, across geographies, merchants started, whoever are living in town, started going to all villages, okay, and started paying all the poor peasants and those farmers money and said, produce goods, give it to us, we will do the trade. And people who were really in suffering because they did not have enough earnings, these poor peasants, they comfortably agreed to it. And that's how the merchants at that point in time were able to produce goods, get goods and do the trade in very large scale. This concept where despite everything being produced or manufactured manually, right, large scale world trade was happening. And this concept, my dear student, I want to start with this concept, and that is called as Proto Industrialization. Okay? Proto means kind of sampled, right? Proto Industrialization. Okay. So now that's how it all started. So what are the places which are going to be highlighted, which are of huge importance? I would obviously say Britain. Britain is called as an industrial nation. A lot of inventions, including machinery, a lot of stuff happened in Britain. And Europe is the, kind of the hub for world trade. Now, I will also take you through that. As I said, I will not give you specific dates, but instead highlight multiple years or periods when certain transformations happened. I will take you through the journey. And of course, India will also be covered, because that was also a very important aspect, this nation, India, for certain, I would say, nuances of industrialization, which I will also cover. Right? Okay, guys, let us get in, see what is there in store. So typically, there is an introduction. I think I gave a very brief context setting as to what was industrialization, what is proto-industrialization, what were the countries which were involved. Okay, so I have spoken, but still, okay, I will take you through this. Before the Industrial Revolution, industrialization or world trade and industrial revolution are two different things. Okay, So revolution is when suddenly a surge happened, everything started picking up. It's like the IT boom. Industrial boom happened at one point, which we call as industrial revolution. Right? This is one. And then hand lever and steam power. So what is the power or use of the steam engines that were invented at that point in time? Okay, now the colonization that happened, how industrialization affected those colonies. That is also something which we would see. Right, my dear students, I hope you had a gist of it. My dear students, one more thing which I wanted to highlight is we will do this probably, it's kind of a lengthy chapter. We will do this in 2 parts. Okay, so hopefully I'll try and cover as many as possible in today's session, and the remaining we will do it in the coming week. Yeah, all right, awesome. So introduction. Okay, I think this is a picture which you would have seen in your textbooks, right? Dawn of the century, very famous picture. Why is this picture important? What is this picture signifying, my dear students? This picture, if you look at it, it is signifying the different machinery. It is nothing but the age of industrialization. Dawn of the century. But okay, if at all we have to think about when it all started. Industrialization in a proper scale. When it all started. If that has to be answered, it all started way back in 16th century itself. It all started, again I repeat, way back in 16th century. However, it started picking up momentum in 17th century. Right? And in 18th century, things were in place where you find that, proper machineries, with the help of that, goods were manufactured, trade started happening. 19th and 20th, needless to say, 19th century itself, you will find that modern machinery started coming into picture. Right? Okay. So this is a picture which was created in 1900 CE. Okay. So it speaks about dawn of industrialization, which is, in other words, we also call it as the age of industrialization, right? That is the chapter. So how that, this particular picture is relevant to that. Right? So, 2 things. So as you see, modern world has 2 very important things. One is the technological changes, innovations, okay, and the other is people, human beings who work on that. Now, when it comes to industrial age, 2 important countries, 2 important continents also, you would say, one is probably Britain, the country, and India, 2 very important nations for industrials. Okay. So before industrialization, what happened? I think I already spoke about this a little. Still, Proto Industrialization, I think I already gave you a gist of it. Trade was happening, goods were manufactured but manually, and that was called as Proto Industrialization. Movement of the merchants in 17th and 18th centuries. See, as I said, the merchants started going to, because they found there is a lot of scope to do trade across geographies. The only thing, they didn't have enough goods. So where to get goods? So they said there are a lot of people, lot of farmers, the peasants who are there in the rural population, that is the countryside. They started going there. And what they did was they started paying little money, peanuts. They paid little money, but the farmers were already really dying. Whatever that came, they said, no, we will take it, we will start doing it. That's how they started producing those goods in their own lands, and the merchants acquired them, okay, procured them from them, and started doing large scale trade worldwide. Okay, this is one more part. And one more thing, if you look at it, there was, the policies were totally supporting these merchants. Okay, they had the right to produce, trade and specific products. So the restriction, of new traders, the new traders cannot come based on those policies. that was kind of a roadblock in this case. Okay, let's see how it all worked. Now, when we speak about industrialization, before I take you through this, I want to tell you, cotton is the beginning. Cotton mills are the beginning of industrial, era. So cotton, that is the reason we are speaking about clothing here. Okay, so merchants started producing the wool, procuring the wool from staplers. Then supplied, them to spinners and weavers. These are two separate sets of people. They procured it from the staplers, people who were there in the cotton yarns, right. Then someone who collects the processed wool, all right. So that is the third part. They are called fullers. And 4, dyers. These are the process in clothing production. Okay, procurement, number 1. Number 2, spinning and weaving. Number 2. Number 3, the fullers who normally gather the cloth together. And 4th is the dyers. And 5th, obviously, you will find that the finishing happens in London. Generally, Britain. This is one reason why Britain was called as the industrial nation. Okay, and why is this important? The coming up of a factory. Which factory? Obviously, there are certain important periods you need to remember, which I said. The earliest factories obviously came in England, 1730s. Okay, so late 18th century, number of factories started multiplying. I think I also spoke about it at the beginning itself. Now, initially they started just in 1760, 2.5 pounds. In a span of 25 years, 27 years, it just almost moved 10x. 22 million pounds of cotton was dealt with, traded. Okay, so Richard Arkwright, he is the one who created the cotton mill. And what happened to us earlier, as I said, as you saw in that particular chart, the mills, and the people, they were working separately, right? The laborers, that was manual. So now he put everyone in one roof, and that's how the concept of a factory came. Otherwise, what happens is the machines are there and human beings, the laborers are there. Okay, so this is, Arkwright, what he did was, Richard Arkwright, he brought them in one place and started building the concept of factories. Lot of factories came in, in the 19th century. It's just very close to us, 19th century, and that's how, England started having more and more industries. And England was also called as, the industrial nation for this reason. The entire English landscape even today is full of manufacturing units. Okay, the pace of industrial change, did it happen just like that? I was telling you it started in 16th century, right? So what happened, guys? I hope you guys are able to see this, right? Okay, right. So the first one, cotton was the primary good. Now, to move goods from one place to another, they need a medium of transport. That is where railways came into picture. Okay, so 1840s, railways came into picture, and in 1860, you need very strong, materials to do this transactions. Iron and steel, there was huge demand for metals like iron and steel. Okay, so 1816s, the demand was there. In 1873, look at it, guys, Britain had exported iron and steel because worldwide the demand was there. Britain exported almost 77 million pounds of iron and steel. Okay, which is almost twice the value of its cotton export. So cotton one side, the other side, the demand for metals like iron and steel. Again, that both were dealt by Britain. I hope you guys are clear. 1840s, 1860s where the demand for iron and steel was there, 1840s cotton, and in 1873 Britain had exported iron and steel twice at the way it dealt with cotton exports. Clear? Right guys, then steam engine came into picture, 1781, James Watt invented steam engine, right? I wouldn't say invented, he came out with a very improvised version of the steam engine, and there were more than 300 steam engines in the 19th century. Okay, almost the 20th century beginning. So, okay, oh, it's mentioned there. 321 steam engines to be exact. Right, guys? So, see how the industrial changes happened. Initially, cotton was the leading sector, then iron and steel demand came, and then demand for transport came. Railways came into picture. James Watt came out with the improved version of the steam engine all over England in 19th century. 19th century, you find that more than 300 steam engines were spread throughout England. Alright guys, it's very interesting, right? Okay. Now, manual labor and the steam power. Let's look at this. Okay. Abundant human labor. So, Britain, why is it called as the country or the nation of industrial revolution? If you look at it, lot of human labor. Okay, lot of people, the peasants were there without any work, and demand for labor was also very, very seasonal. When it is required only, people were called for work. And one more thing is, unlike industries, people in the higher class, they wanted handcrafted goods. Guys, this is something interesting. People in the upper class, they wanted handcrafted goods. Okay, so similar to example of hammer, axes, all these things are products which were used or produced or manufactured manually. Right? So if you look at it, overall what is the picture we are getting? Britain is a very, very successful industrial nation. One. Number two, the reason is lot of people were there without work. Okay. And as a result of that, demand for labor was very, very, rare. Very seasonal, as you would call it. Human labor was there, peasants were without any work, and more importantly, though there were a lot of industries, upper class people preferred handcrafted stuff, handmade stuff. Okay guys? Excellent. Now, on the other end, there were countries where not enough people were there. Example is America. Okay, and they were more inclined towards using machine power, and unlike people in Britain who were looking at the upper class, looking at handcrafted stuff, here people wanted mechanical power. They wanted machine because they were running out of enough laborers. Right guys? Okay, so life of the workers. I think I already highlighted this. There were a lot of workers who were there. And you know what, among the workers itself, there were a lot of partiality. People who were, within the circle, relatives, friends, they are the only ones who were given work. Okay? People did not get work, laborers did not get work for weeks together, and they were suffering. So, the seasonality also really hurt them a lot. So, the overall picture, if you look at it, laborers were having a very, very tough time. Right? Slowly in the 19th century, the wages started increasing. Right? Since the wages started increasing, you find that the scope for welfare of the workers, okay, there was little scope for welfare of the workers. Till the mid 19th century, about 10% of population were extremely poor. Guys, we are speaking about not the countryside population, the urban population. Please remember, 10% of urban population were poor. See, 1930s, 1830s, 19th century, that is, unemployment was around 75%, guys. These are all very important stats that you guys should be remembering. Okay, what did this industrial revolution do? People are without work now. Alright, and this is something which happened everywhere, right? Even in the IT boom, suddenly when machines took over man, people went jobless. Okay, right. 1840s, okay, it's construction. Construction involved a lot of labor for which a lot of people got jobs. Okay, and similarly again in 1840s for transport, a lot of people got jobs again. So these are two very important aspects where people started getting more jobs and people started focusing on. Okay, right guys. So my dear students, before we get into the age of Indian textiles, I would want to wind up here with this for today. So the point is this, I'll do a quick summary. The point is Proto Industrialization, that's how it all started. Everything was manual, but still large level world trade was happening. Okay, but the revolution, the industries or the world trade was in the hands of monopoly in very few people, and new traders were unable to get in. This is one more. Merchants started moving towards countryside to get more goods procured. They paid very little and got things done. And then Britain it's where it all started. That's the industrial nation. And apart from that, India and yes, a little of Europe are places which needs to be considered. It all started in the 16th century, slowly picked momentum in the 17th century. 18th, modernization started happening, and in 19th century you would find that industrialization started picking up in full swing. And when it comes to it, cotton was the beginning, after which you find that iron and steel had a lot of demand. And as a result of this, employment went for a toss. People did not get enough jobs and they started suffering. So in the next session, my dear students, we will go ahead and cover the age of Indian textiles. Alright guys, hope you like this crisper version of Age of Industrialization, which is part 1. I would come out with a well structured part 2 again, and where I will also give you insights on different countries and the periods when industrialization influenced. Right guys, so thank you so much. Meet you again next week. Bye bye.